Okay, what is the exam looks like? In the examination, you will find that the exam consists of 4 sections. You are allowable only to enter the examination with the ISO 45001 only. So if you are taking the examination online, so you will find the ISO 45001 on the application that you are using during the exam. If you are taking the exam hard copy, so you will be allowable only to enter the examination with a clean copy of ISO 45001. So the ISO 9011, it's not allowable to enter the examination with. It's not allowable also to have anything with you, either hard copy or papers or electronic devices or mobiles or laptops. If it's hard copy, you are not allowed to do so. The examination consists of 4 parts, 4 sections. Section number 1, short questions need short answers. Section number 2, it's several questions related to auditing. 3 checklists for scenarios. Let's check firstly section number 1. Section number 1, you will have questions like that. So there is no need to write a lot in this section because it's out of 2, every question out of 2. So there is no need to write a lot because you will not take more than 2, and I don't want you to waste time in this question or these questions or this section. For example, a question here, 1.1, ISO 45001 required that internal audits are objective and impartial. Describe the difference between objectivity and impartiality. If you are searching in the standard, if you are searching in the 9011, in the material, you will not find direct answer. But the answers is from your understanding. So what's meant by that the auditor shall be objective? Objective, it means that the auditor shall not raise any non-conformity according to his own opinion, but the non-conformity shall be raised according to objective evidence and according to audit criteria. Impartial, it means that the auditor shall be independent from the department has been audited, or shall be independent from the process has been audited. So if you wrote objective, it means that the auditor cannot raise non-conformity according to his own opinion and shall raise non-conformity according to evidence and criteria. And impartial, it means that the auditor shall be independent from the audit process. You will take the full mark. Explain the likely consequences of undiplomatic behavior of auditor. If the auditor, it's undiplomatic, aggressive, for example, what it will be the consequence on the audit process? Maybe the auditee may request for stopping audit. Maybe that will affect the reputation of certification body. Maybe that will affect the reputation of the auditor. Maybe that may wasting time of the audit. Will not let the auditors to follow their plan properly. All of these are consequences. So it's 2 marks. So I want just two consequences from what you understand. That has not been mentioned in any part in the material from your understanding. Another example. Give 4 examples of evidence which demonstrate that an organization is managing OHS legal responsibilities, and it's mentioned in accordance with ISO 45001. When it is mentioned with accordance to ISO standard, so I will go to the ISO 45001 standard because they mentioned that in the question. 4 examples of evidences related to legal responsibilities in accordance with the ISO. So I will go to the ISO standard, ISO 45001, and trying to search about the clauses which are related to legal. So when I am going to the standard, I'm trying to search. I found that there are two clauses talking about legal responsibilities. The first clause is 6.1.3. So you will read this clause and try to find evidences such as the organization shall establish, implement, and maintain a processes to determine legal requirements. So you will ask about list of legal requirements and have access to up to date. You can ask for the evidence which keeping the organization up to date with legal requirements, such as contract with legal agency, contract with governmental office that provide you with up to date legal requirement. This is evidence. Maintain a procedure for legal for the determination of legal other requirement. All of these are evidences. Also 9.1.2. Let's talk about also legal. The organization shall determine the frequency. So you will ask about if the inspection plan to ensure that the organization is conducting periodic evaluation or not. Evaluation, the report, if there is an inspection report to ensure or which indicate the results of this evaluation. All of these considered evidences, right? Okay. 1.4, another example. Identify two ways. If they're asking you about ways or methods that the auditor use during audit, there are only four ways or four methods the auditor use during audit. These ways are interview, observation, check documents, check records. These are the only ways or the only methods that the auditor use during the audit. So they are asking, identify two ways the auditor can verify that the corrective action has been implemented. So what are the ways that he will do? He will check the document, he will check the record, he will make interview, he will make observation. If I asked you, identify two methods that the auditor can use during audit, the same answer. Check documents, check record, observation, interview. 1.5. Some questions just to try true or false. Identify whether these sentences are true or false. Organizations must report. Organizations must report fewer safety incidents year on year in order to demonstrate continual improvement. True or false? So you write it. Is it true or false? Workers must be represented in the management review process. True or false? Auditors must identify the root cause of any nonconformities which they report. True or false? The expectations of interested parties must be considered within the scope. True or false? So you just need here to write, is it true or false? That's all. You will find it in the answer sheet. Section 2. So the first section shall not take from you more than 10 minutes maximum. 10 minutes maximum. It means that every question shall not take from you more than 2 minutes. Management of time, it's very important. And it's one of the most important elements to pass is this type of exams. Section 2. Section 2, it's all about the ISO 19011 and auditing technique. And you will not have any standard or the standard of the ISO 19011 or the ISO of 17021 will not be with you during the exam. So you shall write from your understanding. List 6 responsibilities of the lead auditor when conducting an external audit. What are the responsibilities of the auditor, of the lead auditor? Before audit, the lead auditor is the person who conducting the responsible person for first stage audit. He is the person who prepare the audit plan. He is the person who confirm audit scope. He is the person who confirm audit duration. He is the person who select and assign responsibilities for audit team during second stage audit. He is the person who is responsible for opening and closing meeting. He is the person who manage the audit team. He is the person who determine and classify non-conformities after audit. He is the person who prepare or responsible for the preparation of final audit report. He is the person who is responsible for following up with the auditee if there are any non-conformities. These are the responsibilities. B, when there is any question A and B, it means that the questions are related to each other. Okay? An auditor conducting a third-party audit finds a critical safety hazard which has not been addressed in the OHSMS at all. It's OHSMS, it means that it's not mentioned in procedures, it's not mentioned in record, it's not mentioned at all, neglected. State how the auditor should respond. What the auditor will respond if there is a critical safety hazard not mentioned in the system at all. What he will do? He will raise a non-conformity. You can write, for example, he will check is it within the scope or not. If it's within the scope, I will raise it as a non-conformity. That's all. 2 marks. Another example for the questions in section 2. You are the audit team leader conducting an OHSMS stage 1 certification audit, first stage, on site by yourself in an organization. At the initial meeting, you are presented with luxury leather laptop case containing company's OHS manual and procedure documents. The OHSMS manager indicates that the case is a gift for you to use during the audit and retain afterwards. Describe how you would respond to the situation. Number 1, don't refuse. Don't refuse by an indiplomatic way. You shall refuse by a diplomatic way. This is number 1. Number 2, don't say that you don't like it or you don't need it. Put the justification of your refuse or rejection upon the procedure of your certification body, not because you don't need it or you don't want to take it. Because if you said that, sorry, I cannot take it, that may affect the audit, may affect the cooperation of the auditee with you, because he will be shamed from what he did. He may try not to be with you all the time because you refuse to take from him this gift. You got it? So take it easily like that. You will say, oh, it's very good. Thank you very much for this gift. It's beautiful. But I'm sorry to inform you that I cannot accept it, not because of me, not because of my decision, but because of my certification body's procedure, because my certification body's code of conduct indicate that we as an auditors cannot accept any type of gifts. So I'm very sorry to inform you that. So you refused by diplomatic way, you thank him about that, and you mentioned that you refused not because you refused because the procedure of your certification body. 2.3, you are the team leader allocated to stage 2 audit in a large chemical company producing explosives for industrial use, wishing to gain ISO certification for the ISO 45001. You have been asked to form the audit team. List the 5 factors. 5 factors for selecting team. The lead auditor will select his team, of course, from auditors working inside the certification body. So don't write one of the criteria will be the behavior of the auditors, because of course all the auditors working in your certification bodies, I think they are diplomatic, they shall be observant, they shall be ethical. So don't talk about personal behavior at all. So you can, the criteria that you can choose your team according to are, for example, the scope, that they are understanding the activity or understanding or has a knowledge about the chemical explosives. So they understand the scope. They know ISO 45001, so they are aware with the criteria. Geographical location, they are not far from the place of the auditee. Language, they understand the language of audit. Conflict of interest, there is no conflict of interest between them and the auditee. These are 5 issues. (2.4) At the opening meeting, the stage 2 audit, the health and safety manager informs you that a recent internal audit has found many non-conformities relating to issues in the laboratory. Corrective action has been planned. The manager therefore suggests that to audit the laboratory again would add no value and asks if you could delete this department from your audit plan and spend more time in the production area, as there has been an increase in minor accidents recently, and he is concerned that there may be serious problems. Outline 5 issues you would include in the response which you would give to this request. What you will do in this case. Of course, firstly, I will inform them, number 1, if I delete this department from the audit plan, it's meant that this department's not implementing anything in the system, and that will be considered major non-conformity. So I shall audit it. Second response, we cannot change the scope as the plan has been sent for you before opening meeting and you accepted it. And we came today according to it. So changing of a scope, it's difficult. Third response, when I am reviewing the corrective actions that taken by your side while we are auditing this department, we can decide the effectiveness of these corrective actions, and that will help you to know is the corrective or are the corrective actions taken by your side are acceptable and effective or not. Fourth response, when we will audit this department, we may find more non-conformities, and that will help you for improvement. That's right. Number 5, by checking also the audit report or by checking the people who conducted an audit, internal audit upon this department, we can check if the way of auditing on this department it's complying with the standard or not. Maybe so any answer will be acceptable related to this part. But don't accept deleting the department from your plan. This is section 2. So we noticed that all section 2, it's related to your understanding of the audit technique. Section 3, most of the section 3 is talking about the checklist, most of them. So for example here, 3.1, a construction company has been certified to ISO 45001 for more than a year. 2 months ago, the company had a fatal accident involving someone working in a confined space. Next week is a surveillance audit. Explain what you would wish to examine by listing 10 issues of investigation with reference from the standard. As we mentioned before, in this part, in this section, they can ask you to prepare a checklist or the checkpoints only. So you will write the questions according to, or the checkpoints according to the question itself. May ask you like that to write checkpoints with reference from the standards. So you need to write the checkpoint and the close, the checkpoint and the close. Or they can ask you to mention the checkpoint and the reference and the evidence. So in this case, you need to write the checkpoint, the close, and the evidence. For example, here in this exercise, or this, in this question, you are going to audit an organization, but you need to be concentrate upon the accident that happened before. So you can ask, for example, what was, for example, what was the approach that you use for investigation? Question mark, close 10.2. If I'm asking evidence also, what I will write? You will write, what is the process that you followed in investigation of this type of accidents? 10.2, the investigation process or documented investigation process, for example. Did you conduct an investigation for this accident? This is a question. 10.2, the evidence will be investigation report. So this is the evidence. This question not asking you about the evidence, but if they ask you about the evidence, so you will write like that question, close, and the evidence. The evidence may be record, may be document, may be interview, may be observation. This question, taking into account the close 10.2, describe in a terms or a sequence or illustrate using diagram the corrective action process, starting from non-conformity raised by the auditor till closing out non-conformity. So they need you only here to make like a chart like that. For example, number 1, identify non-conformity between brackets, auditor. Number 2, for example, record and report non-conformity between brackets, auditor. After that, acceptance non-conformity by the auditee between brackets. After just the steps, write the steps of the non-conformity process, starting from, as they mentioned, starting from raising non-conformity by the auditor, and at the end, write close out non-conformity by the auditee. Checklist also. A requirement of ISO 45001, clause 5.1, is the top management demonstrate leadership in support of the OHSMS. Prepare a checklist of at least 10 checkpoints. So they need you to just write checkpoints and state the clauses. Okay. They wrote here clause 5.1. So you need only to write the checkpoints from 5.1 only. Now, if this 5.1 is not mentioned, in this case, it's a requirement of ISO 45001 top management. So in this case, you will write questions from clause 5. You can write questions from clause also 9.3. So you can write the questions from 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 9.3. if it's not mentioned 5.1. But they told you to write the questions from 5.1 only. So I will write the question from 5.1 only. For example, you can make A question, B question, C question, and make like that. For example, taking into overall top management, taking overall responsibility and accountability of question mark 5.1a, and make B like a question and make write between brackets 5.1b. That's all. This is the answer. Just to make from A to M, make it questions and instead of sentence, and write in front of it 5.1a, 5.1b, 5.1c. That's all. The fourth section, scenarios. In this section, you will get 3 scenarios. Every scenario, you shall read it carefully to decide if these scenarios are, or every scenario, is it non-conformity or not. If the scenario is non-conformity and you said that it's no non-conformity, and your answers was correct, yani not far from the scenario itself, its logic, you can take maximum 7 out of 10. Now, what is the opposite? If there is no evidence to raise non-conformity, in spite of that, you wrote in your answer that it is non-conformity, and you filled the non-conformity template. In this case, you will take 0. If the scenario is investigation and you said non-conformity, you will take 0. If the scenario is non-conformity and you said investigation, you will take maximum 7 out of 10. So you are reading the scenario. If you decided that it's non-conformity, you need to fill this format, which is the non-conformity report. If the scenario, there is no non-conformity, so don't write anything in this format. And next page, you will find another format, which is the template form, the investigation form. So you will fill either the non-conformity format or investigation format. Don't fill both of them. In the non-conformity, there are 3 parts: description of non-conformity, evidence, and clause plus requirement. Let's take an example. I will open the answer template to give you just an example how you can fill it. This scenario, for example, when you are reading it, you will feel that there is a non-conformity because there is no awareness about this purple colored fluid, for example. So you will choose to fill the first template, which is a non-conformity report. So when you decided to fill this format, you will take 2 marks. Description, 3 marks. Evidence, 3 marks. You also mention the clause plus requirement. This is the clause and this is the requirement. Don't write the clause only. So you will take 10 out of 10 in this case. Description, a generic description of scenario. What is the generic description? For example, here, the system failed to identify all the hazards. So a generic description. What is your evidence of what you said? The evidence will be came from the scenario itself. For example, it's taken from the scenario that the clear purple color, you will write what is your evidence of what you said here, and the clause number, the requirement of the clause. So you will take full mark. Now, what if the scenario is investigation? So you will not need to fill this format. Keep this format blank and go and fill the investigation template. In the investigation template, you will find 2 parts: reasons why there is no sufficient evidence to raise non-conformity, and you need to write 4 questions for audit trails. For example, here, it's mentioning here that in this scenario that the organization, they had before a complaint box. So they decided not to use this complaint box, and they are taken from its place, and they replaced by another way. For example, let's check it. When having lunch in a canteen during your audit in a computer manufacturer, you see a sign next to the notice board which stated that please place safety suggestion in box below, but the box is missing. There is no box. On resuming the audit, you ask about the missing box. Where is the box? There is a sign which mentions that there is a box here. When you are looking for this sign, it's signing for what? You are not finding any box. So you asked about this issue. They told you that they changed it this way, and if there is anyone had any suggestion or complaint, they shall email it. Use email instead of it. So we changed the way of communication from complaint box to email. Is there any problem here? No, there is no problem, because they already have a way of communication, either box or email. It's no problem, because the standard mentioned that the organization shall use a way or a mean for communication, but the standard not mention what is this mean of communication that the organization can use. So there is no problem, right? So firstly, you shall write why you did not raise a nonconformity. Why you found that there is no nonconformity. So you shall write here. For example, there is no nonconformity because the organization already keep a way of communication or alternative way of communication than the box, which is the email. For example, this is the reason. But there are some points which may be unclear in the scenario, and you need to investigate about it. For example, if all workers in the organization have access to computers to send emails if needed, this is a question. If the people are competent to use computers to send emails, this is a question. If they conducted or they studied this new way and they put this new way in their risk assessment to ensure that this way is more effective than the other way, the previous way, this is a question. Okay, so you need here to write the reason why there is no sufficient evidence to raise nonconformity, and write minimum 4 questions for more investigation. In front of every question, write a close number. Okay. This consider just summary how you can answer the exam. The last thing I want to tell you about, in front of every question, you will find a mark. In front of every question, you will find a mark. I want you to consider that every mark that you will find in front of every question, it seems like minutes. So if the question is out of 10, so it shall not take from you more than 10 minutes. If the question is 5 marks, so it shall not take from you more than 5 minutes. 15 marks, 15 minutes, in order not to waste time. And after finishing the exam, you will find you will have sufficient time to review anything you already missed. No problem, because it's out of 90 marks and the examination is 120 minutes. So if you try to manage your time, you will have more time at the end in order to check what missed. But if you not managing your time, you will lose some questions. You will not find time to do it, to answer it. Also, there is another suggestion for you, advice for you. try to answer first section 4, starting by section 4, after that section 3, after that section 2, after that section 1. Because section 4 need more concentration than other sections. Section 3, next. Section 2, next. Section 1 is very easy and not takes time, and no need for concentration. Okay, these are my explanation about how you can use your or how you can answer the examination and how you can manage your time.